Damez, I'm back with my agenda. Never follow rules, I want my funeral magenta. Just to piss off all my fucking homophobic relatives. Growing more imperative that I control my narratives. So I spit fire through this pop filter. La la, you got to have the Zaza for me to shop with you. Raising my rates and all control face. But if you fuck with me, I bring your fucking life to a stop quicker. I'm in your throat like some hot liquor. Roll through your hood like a drop sugar. Hands like a stock filter. I think if I was straight, then maybe I would pop quicker. Playing the lotto, I'm on the reposado. Can't be in my vicinity if you possessing maybes. Or fragile masculinity like Boosie tip a baby. It's crazy cause the very clothes you wearing was designed by the same group of people used to trying to keep behind. You ain't worried about the kids, you just use them as a shield to hide behind the bigotry of how you really feel. Ain't no think pieces in emails as long as it's some females that's kissing in the backseat. And you can check my rap sheet. I'm running circles when you watch the rappers like a track meet. Been flexing like an athlete. I'm jigging to the backbeat. Work selling in the trap meet. And my niggas pack heat. Suggest to keep it cool before they bust and make it happy. And I ain't even really scratched the surface. Defeat the self-doubt, don't defeat the purpose. Make sure you got it or you won't complete the purchase. A man without a plan is like a clown without a circus. That's Damez, he go crazy on the mics and shit. Rolling blunts super straight on the pipes and shit. Fat ass with the fucking tiger stripes and shit. I get faded, grab my pen and then I write some shit about this crazy world we living in. My homies steady giving in, the doors steady kicking in. I never care about fitting in. No whip in the E-class, that motherfucker speed fast. I caught me a peach pass and reach for my weed stash. All sports teams, but I'm ballin', nigga. Better have a money move if you callin', nigga. It's my time to shine and you know I'm stallin', nigga. Damez going up, make that shit appallin', nigga. And I ain't even really in my prime yet. But I just been grinding like the time said. Mindset, I'm the fucking money, not a bitch though. I can tell you broke, but I ain't never been a snitch though. Came up on cassettes and CDs on the block. I don't smoke no cigarettes, but the trees stay in stock. It's the D-A-M to the I-E-N. And if I stand out, nigga, why be in? This motherfuck the cops and motherfuck the ops. My niggas got good credit, we talking trades and stocks. I'ma always keep it real, that's what I get from my pops. They'll give me a fucking bullet before they give me my props. I got this war in my mind, I don't know who winning. All this Patron in my body and my head keeps spinning. Yo, how I'ma get to heaven? I mean, if I keep sinning, I swear life would drive you crazy, man. Just keep living. I ain't even really scratched the surface. Defeat the self-doubt, don't defeat the purpose. Make sure you got it or you won't complete the purchase. A man without a plan is like a clown without a circus. Damez, and I ain't even really scratched the surface. No, defeat the self-doubt, don't defeat the purpose. Make sure you got it or you won't complete the purchase. A man without a plan is just a clown without a circus. Damez. Hip-hop. This rap shit is just in me.
I took a hit for the team, took a bullet for the dream that we would one day all be free from prejudice, free from sexism, free from bigotry. I die for creativity, yeah. I die for freedom to be free. I died and left a legacy. Oh, but baby, I still live through technology. The sun will start shining. Black is the pain. As is the pain. As is the pain. And that's just love, just be patient. Your destiny will manifest. Yes, Bubzz.
You live in a different world.
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, everyone? Hello, hello, hello. On this Tuesday afternoon, I hope that everything is well with you personally, despite all the foolishness and fuckery that's happening on the outside of us in today's world, in today's society. Despite all of that, I hope personally that you are making the choice to still love yourself. This is going to be one of the greatest times in humanity. Okay, a wise mystic once said, one of the most difficult things throughout life that we are going to do once we become aware is to continue to remind ourselves that we are worthy of all wonderful, beautiful, amazing things while living in a world where people, because of their own ignorances and fears and biases, will try to prevent you from realizing that because they're struggling and realizing it for themselves. Okay? So regardless of what happens outside of you, you always have the choice to have internal peace. And queer people, I'm telling you to protect your internal peace by any means at this point. You already know how I feel. No shade, but before we get into it, what's going on, King Ron? What's going on? Hope all is well. We got Queen Stevie in the building. Shout out to, again, Queen Stevie and King Deshaun, for they are the individuals who are the inspirants, okay, for this particular live. Again, with all of my lives, I don't really plan them. I just feel compelled to go while I'm in the moment and just do it if I have the time and the resources to do so. Okay, so we're definitely going to get into it. This live is definitely not going to be safe for work. There will be a lot of colorful language in this live. Okay, because the onslaught against trans people and how people choose to hold on to fear. If you want to hold on to fear, that's fine. But you projecting your fear and creating these false narratives around queer people, in particular in today's live, trans, and how destructive that is, hell yeah. As my sister's keeper, as my brother's keeper, as an individual who is part of the queer community, it is my responsibility to stand up to the injustices that happen to oppressed groups of humanity. Okay? And in today's live, we're going to use 3 submissions, okay? The first one we're going to watch is a video by the Officer Tatum, which, again, his link for the video is in the description box below. He also is giving his review on a video that Gino Jennings did that to him was just this profound, like, quintessential missing piece that will restore the balance of humanity. Meanwhile, Gino sounds like every cat daddy liquor store ass nigga on the corners talking shit, or the Hebrew Israelites outside yelling at people as they walk past. There's nothing different. There's nothing transformative, and it comes from a very low vibrational, very dense way of thinking. Okay, we're also going to read a news article submitted by GayTimes. Okay, shout out to Queen Stevie for sending me that, where it looks like, in reference to some of the stuff that's happening to trans people in America, there are people who, and I'm happy this is happening, that are saying, I don't really give a fuck about your anti-trans shit. I just want you to fix the economy. That's my thing. Like, you focusing on the wrong things. Okay? So I'm glad we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to watch a video. I spoke a lot about trans women's experiences, but now we're going to listen to the experience of a trans man who also speaks about the trans experience being dehumanized. Okay, so it's going to be a pretty nice live. So again, make sure that you have something to smoke on, something to sip on. Okay, listen to this while you're doing something. Again, I'm background chatter. Okay, I'm background talk. I want to talk to your subconscious anyway. That's what I really want to do, because that's where the fears and shit is at. All right, but before we jump into that, before we do that, all right, boom. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Okay? Ron says, officer is such a panda. He has a shirt he wears on occasions on his platform that says, there is no white privilege. Yeah, we also gonna see some other shirts too. That other merch that he's going to be sharing. Okay? So, with that being said, let's get into the live. Let me change my music up here. And let's get into it, because, we edutainment. All right? And here we go.
What is a woman?
What is a woman?
It's your mama. That confused? Let me come and watch it. I tell you, it's your mama. It sure ain't your daddy.
That's right. Go ahead.
Well, Pastor, I agree with you. This video is brought to you by TatumStore.com. TatumStore.com, like Gino James. I'm trying to make my Gino.
Now look at this, y'all. We got Jesus saves, and meanwhile, Jesus is coming to save humanity through the manifestation. And I'm personally offended because I am a real life leprechaun. So the fact that you got Donald Trump as a leprechaun, I'm going to have to write a letter to the Leprechauns Association of the World and ask them who passed this shit, because I didn't get no email. I ain't get nothing mailed to me. I ain't get no phone call, no text. Hello, and I'm on the committee of the leprechauns. Okay, so where was I at for this? But this is very interesting, baby. And I guess we live it in the era where people can do what the hell they want to do. You want to get a picture or a shirt with a leprechaun, John Cena white wigger trap looking version of Trump with the tattoos and shit and the 45, drinking a Colt 45. Make sure you go over to Officer Tatum's merch store. You can get 20% off. He's a black man capitalizing off of St. Patrick's Day. Of course, he's not going to acknowledge white privilege because he is somehow also benefiting from white privilege.
James' voice.
Amen.
The link is in the description section. You got one more day to get your Trump St. Patty's Day merch.
We see
and then we're not selling it anymore. We've run out. So make sure you get your merch today. Like and subscribe to the channel. Links are in the description section. Let's get into this.
Ladies and gentlemen, I heard my voice. I don't know how you talk like this every day. Pastor Gino Jennings is, I don't agree with everything he say, and nor does anybody agree with everything anybody says. So, but there are some things that Gino Jennings says, in my opinion, that are quite accurate. And
okay, so you know what's really great? I think we should all find a way to get to that point. To his point, what he said was true. We're not going to agree 100% on everything. And I'm okay with that because, again, we all have the right to be and think and act differently. But if we were to focus more so on what we have in common, as opposed to focusing on what it is that we do not have in common, I feel like we could literally participate in changing the trajectory of the bullshit that we're dealing with in reference to fear and ignorance. Okay? So I'm glad he said that. And again, when you listen to people, at least me, like, I don't do my commentary to argue and to debate. Because to be perfectly honest, for these individuals that get on these platforms and talk all this mess, they wouldn't even survive in a formal debate setting. I went to school and took classes in debating. And I love to talk. And I like thinking outside the box. So it's really just a sparring ground for me. But I'm really trying to figure out and connect with people, most importantly, who are willing to work through the fear and the ignorance and find the gray area where everybody can be satisfied. But also at the same time, allowing queer people to share their history, because there is queer youth that is coming up that will become queer adults, and then queer youth will come up after them, just like a lot of the people that are arguing right now were once children. So what's happening is literally inclusion. And if we speak, because Officer Tatum is from a religious perspective, if you believe in God, God is a totality of all things. There's a scripture in the Bible where it says, I create good and I create evil. I, the Lord, created this, which means, again, no matter where you are on the spectrum of life, redemption, forgiveness, and reconciliation and freedom is available to you. And the pathway to freedom is unlimited. But we're going to see what a lot of these people who consider themselves to be Christian focus on. Let's continue.
I think he holds up the standard more so than some of these scammy mega church pastors that we see today. And they're so annoying because they won't say anything about anything prevalent. They just want to be popular and follow the status quo and get more people in there.
Following the status quo of the church would be condemning homosexuals and queer people and trans people, which we've seen happen 9 years ago with the debate that we listened to. 14 years ago when Donnie McClurkin was screaming at the top of his lungs, girl, when Tone triggered his ass. And even the 60s and 70s when some of these niggas had waistlines that were actually waistlines. Stop trading your waists. So the fact that these pastors and these preachers and these reverends are literally tapping into the flow of Christ. Y'all be so desperate to get to God that once y'all get to God, y'all can't fucking handle it and you end up destroying yourselves, as opposed to going through the flow of Christ, which means tapping into the human part, tapping into the emotional part, tapping into what you would consider the feminine part of themselves, which is also another missing piece of God. When we look at it from just one side only, we only going to see half the picture. You need both sides and inclusion for that to happen. Y'all fight. Y'all, a lot of Christians, not all, because there are some who are true members of the body of Christ, but a lot of fear-based, ignorant Christians. You know what? Never mind.
The church to get tithes and offering, but Gino Jennings will say it. And that's what one thing I like about him. He just say it with no filter. And this is one thing that he had to say about Congress that I thought was absolutely hilarious.
Wrote a film.
So we're not doing any, he's not bringing up any sort of missing, and I'm going to pause a lot, just so y'all know. On BubzDaGawd, we do this differently. We really breaks it down, no shade. So you're not bringing forth a clip that is transformative, a clip that will speak to the hearts and minds of people like you claim and profess that the love of Christ does. But just this clip, because this man is, that's why y'all like Trump, because Trump get to say what y'all afraid to say. Meanwhile, y'all the ones in power, so why are y'all afraid to say shit when y'all the ones that are allegedly in power and are truly genuinely connected? So Gino just says it in a very old school ass way. He don't be saying shit that's really transformative. And on top of that, girl, we found Steve Harvey's long lost brother, girl. Instead of Gino having Steve Harvey's thick ass mustache, he got the mustache just cut in half and transmuted to be his eyebrows. And I don't know. It's just something I just don't understand. It's something about bald head energy, girl. For some of you niggas that are part of the bald head brothers gang that's doing the right thing, I'm gonna need you to get your way with bald head brothers, please, okay? I'm over here putting shit on my shit because I don't want my granddaddy shit to kick in. Okay? I'm trying to repel that. Let's continue.
Congress trying to define what a woman is.
That's right.
Do you know this discussion that's going on in Washington, D.C.?
Yeah.
To entertain the transgender community.
Yeah.
What is a woman?
What is a woman?
It's your mama.
That's...
And let's speak about the mamas. First of all, sir, when we talk about, see, you're conflating, wow. we're talking about gender as far as male and female. Trans people are aware, and they have openly stated and said out of their own mouths that they understand that they are not born biologically. If they're born male, they know they're not born biologically female. But the way they show up in society, that is where the woman comes into place. Just like how some of y'all niggas mamas got peach fuzz and goddamn Miss Pearly beard shit. Need to get that shit lined up and shit. Be looking better than mine. But she has a uterus. She has ovaries. And she is a biological woman. But yet she looks like what you would consider a man. How many of y'all mamas got wide shoulders? I remember I saw a video of this older woman who been smoking Newports all her life. It's a funny video where somebody asked her what she doing, and she turned around and said, "Why are you worried about what I'm doing? Sometimes can I have my business to myself?" And she literally looked like my father with long hair. I was like, is that my dad? But she is biologically female. I feel like the reason why we have this conversation about what is a woman is because even for biological women, a lot of them are getting their bodies done. Not because, oh, I want to enhance myself so I can look in the mirror and feel good about myself and improve my self-esteem. A lot of these women are getting these BBLs and stuff done to appease men. And trans women are doing it too. The whole idea is, again, to appease men from a patriarchal mindset. It's like y'all literally want to control every aspect of trans people's lives on how they should act, how they should be, how they should walk. It's just very sickening. I wish more black queer members realize that they don't need to subject themselves to stay in these organized religions all because they were raised in it. Clearly, these people of Christ continue to remind us we are not wanted. That's very much true. Like I said, even with queer people, we're gonna have to learn to let certain things go too that no longer serve us. And organized religion may have to be one of those things. I'm not saying to give up on your personal connection and relationship with your creator, but maybe you have to walk away from all the noise and the bullshit and the hoopla and do like Christ did for 40 days and 40 nights and isolate yourself so you can find out what the hell your voice sounds like. And a lot of times when we do that, we start to realize that some of the voices that we hear once we're initially in silence and in solitude is really not ours. It's the collective thoughts of everyone outside of us. And there's a lot of queer people that also need to heal too. Have we not forgotten? I mean, have we forgotten the live I did last night, where I was reading the stories and testimonies of individuals who survived ex-gay conversion therapy and how it's been decades later and they're still dealing with the traumas of that experience?
That's right. Plain and simple.
You that confused? Let me come and watch it. I tell you, it's your mama. It sure ain't your daddy.
That's right. Go ahead.
And that's how we know the church is losing their damn power when it comes down to homosexuality. Because back in the day, when pastors would be bombing, I've seen this in real time when I was in church. When pastors, especially on Men's Day, when pastors would be bombing, when they wasn't getting the crowd all the way motherfucking stimulated for that cash flow, for them to hit their ass with that offering, they would go right ahead and start the whole gay bashing. And baby, back in the day, everybody would jump up. Yeah, you're right. Say it, pastor. Yes. Yeah. Even the gays. Preach, pastor. Preach. But now as we see, he's saying all that shit, and it's only a few people standing, girl, because there are some people who are done with this bullshit. They come into church, bitch. Help me to be able to get in contact with God, Source Universe. Teach me to strengthen my foundation so I can manifest what I want in my damn life. And I can't wait because we're going to get into an article that kind of enforces what I just said. Let's continue.
That's right.
What is a woman? What's a woman? Your mama!
Your mama. That's right.
President Biden joining in on the conversation. We didn't know what a woman. We didn't know what a woman is. A woman is your mama.
That's right. Tell about Pastor.
That man is past 80, isn't he? He's past 80, right?
I believe so.
You mean to tell me you past 80 and you don't know your mama and your wife
That's right.
is a woman?
Girl, he is upset. He is upset. First of all, no shade. I'm tired of just old people just still taking over, bitch. Go sit down somewhere. Go sit down. Go sit down. You can still live your life. Ain't nobody saying you gotta pass the torch. Just share the flame. Sit your ass down and move out the way. So yes, with Joe Biden ass, his ass ain't do nothing. And for me, I'll get into that later about the whole political system because I'll share my opinions and perspectives on that. But again, we're talking about the spectrum of women because regardless of what the fuck y'all want to believe or what y'all afraid to believe, trans women exist. They've been here since the beginning of time. Indigenous people were more spiritually aware than some of you ignorant motherfuckers are, and even realized them to be two-spirited people. Look at the Native American heritage, how they've honored queer people's existence because they had the ability to be in the duality of both realms. They were usually shamans. They were usually the elders, as far as spiritually is concerned. This is historical fact that y'all don't want to acknowledge. And yes, there are biological women, but biological women aren't the only women. They're not the only women. Okay? There are so many women, so many expressions of women, that even bio women and trans women collectively sometimes get fed up about being put into a box because they are a woman or they are women. Because you even have niggas and men who expect women to behave a certain type of way, instead of allowing women to have their own agency over themselves. Like, so much insecurity. So much insecurity, bro. This is some insecure ass shit.
Lord help us. Oh,
Congress want to find out who, and these men are in their 70s and 80s. You don't know your mama, you fool?
That's a fool.
What's a woman? Your mama!
That's right. It's something, man.
What's a woman?
Lord help the people.
Now it's the curriculum. They're putting these curriculums in schools.
Yeah.
Even books.
Yeah.
Books that show pictures
Yeah.
to your children.
Oh, yeah.
Congress is passing it. Oh, they trying to shove this trash.
And one thing I'm going to do too, especially like, not anytime soon, but down the road, I'm going to start reading these banned books for myself live, and I'm going to see what they're about. Because these people probably don't even read the damn books for real from cover to cover. Again, the stuff being passed in Congress is to educate your children. Just like how in America, girl, they were educating bullshit that wasn't even true. Like how Christopher Columbus discovered America and shared it with the Native Americans when we really knew what happened, factually speaking. What's up, Queen Spicy? So again, the education in the school system is literally there to be able to, first of all, one, protect queer children, because they need to be protected too. Because even when I was in school and getting bullied for being queer, and I didn't accept my queerness and walk in my truth till I was 18 in my first ever relationship, to where there weren't teachers who were standing up for me or standing in the gap for me. Is also to educate children, to let them know that there are people in the world who are going to be different from you. And instead of listening to the bullshit that the ignorant people are saying, maybe we can help these children to break this generational curse of stupidity, chosen stupidity at this point. Now let's listen to his
Now,
dissertation.
I want you to evaluate this real quick.
Yes.
You heard what Gino Jennings said. I want you to
Correct.
evaluate this real quick.
Right.
Do your preacher talk about this? I want you to put this in perspective. Internalize this. Does your preacher speak on these things?
Right.
If the answer is no, you probably need to go to another church. If you've been going to church for the last 5 years or 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, or whatever, the advent or the acceleration of these things that we see going on, and your pastor ain't talking about this stuff, your pastor, in my opinion, is not hearing from God. Your pastor does not have his finger on the pulse of what's going on in society. The Holy Spirit is speaking through people.
Wow.
Informing people, and I'm not specifically saying Gino Jennings, but
if that's the case, why did you use Gino Jennings' clip? Now, to your point, according to the scripture, it says that it will make the rocks cry out and even make donkeys talk. So, to your point, I guess anybody can definitely be used by Christ. But then my thing is, when they're used by Christ, you don't really accept it, even if it's coming from a queer person, because of your fear-based ideology about them. And the fact that you're saying that if your pastor is more so inclusive and he is not separating these people, openly rebuking these people without any facts, because again, God manifests in the flesh into the material world, and you lack bringing that up. That if your pastor is inclusive and he's not out here bashing people, then your pastor is not in tune with God. And this is what I mean when I say when people try to get to God without going through Christ. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. And again, a lot of you niggas spiritually and dealing with your faith are ostrich neck ass niggas, and we can see this.
I know the Holy Spirit is moving and causing spirit-led Christians to speak on these things. I look at the Spirit moving like a text message. Did you not get the text message that we need to be fighting against this stuff? Did you not get the text message that this is your calling in life as a pastor, for you to preach on these things? For you to talk about the things that are going on in the generation? That's exactly what...
Wouldn't the purpose of a pastor would be able to teach you how to, again, like Christ said, to be in the world but not of the world, which means that despite what's going on outside of me, I'm going to get myself together first. And once I know what real love looks like, then I can turn around and call out the injustices. Because again, queer people are not out here unaliving Christians. Queer people are not out here literally going to churches and walking up in there and shooting it up and waiting outside at churches and jumping Christians. Because again, Christianity is the biggest religion in America and unfortunately in the world, as far as the organized viewpoint of it is concerned. And a lot of these queer children, queer people grew up in families that are heavy in religion. It's just the fact now that when these people open up their mouth and speak, i.e. Kim Burrell, i.e. Donnie McClurkin, now they can be held accountable for what they say. It's the fact that once again, the power that y'all say y'all walk in, we're really seeing that that's not true. Or, yes it is, I'm sorry, y'all are walking in the power of fear. That's what it is. I stand corrected.
Jesus Christ did. He spoke of the ills of the generation that they were in.
Christ also went and was healing people, was loving people, was connecting with people, and he was challenging the Pharisees and the Sadducees who dwelled in temples made by man. And let's not forget, these same individuals that he was arguing with and debating with are the same individuals who called him a demon, because he was breaking rules, like performing works on the Sabbath, doing all type of stuff. Christ was radical, meaning different, meaning out the box. How out the box is organized religion when it forces you to conform. Christ gives you the opportunity to choose freedom by your own accord. Organized religion teaches you to choose them out of fear, because they've built their whole empire, they've built their whole business off the backs of your problems. And then, just like the pharmaceutical company, creating the problem and then offering a solution. And then when you look at the solution through a lens of higher awareness, you'd be like, what the fuck is this? This is just like those commercials about people with herpes that are climbing mountains and riding bikes and eating ice cream and wearing coochie cutters and shit. And then meanwhile, 6 months later, have you or your loved one taken this medication? You have this. Do you have a fucking foot growing out your forehead? Okay, do you have 12 toes now? Get out of here.
What the Pharisees were doing, how people have fallen away from God, how they didn't know God. Jesus came to restore the truth of who God was and what God has called us to do.
Love.
In the present time that he was in.
Love.
And he also predicted and preached about what would come in the future.
Yes.
And you can see a lot of this preaching through his apostles who wrote and spoke, and you see that in the Bible.
But then again, it's really about focusing on what Christ said and what Christ did. Those individuals, yes, they were led by spirit, but they were also man. Excuse me. And God is not a man that he shall lie. And also with God, when he speaks stuff, it comes into manifestation. And Christ did not care about sexuality. He didn't speak about sexuality. The video I did last night with Dr. Brown and Matthew Vines, Christ was looking again at the heart of the person, not the societal viewpoints on what they think, because a lot of people saw the leper as a leper, but Christ saw that person as whole and complete. I don't see you as sick. Those people and the Pharisees and Sadducees saw this person as blind and treated him as such, and Christ said, no, I can see that you can see. Do you touch and agree with me? That's what Christ was doing. I'm gonna need for y'all to really go back to the Bible and focus on what Christ did, because, instead of making him the mascot, being the only one that can do it, actually read it, because Christ said that ye are gods and that ye will go forth and do far greater works than I. We're literally seeing the literal divide of those who talk the talk and then those who walk the walk. And those who are talking the talk sound just like Officer Tatum when it comes to queerness. Sounds just like BMU when it comes to queerness. Sounds just like Lance Scurv when it comes to queerness. Sounds just like Gino Brown, Information Man, Chaotic Truth, Sonetter Studios, and all the rest of the goddamn pimp-ass preachers and pastors and hotep niggas out here who, as you can see, are facing accountability. Almost every single one of them has faced some sort of accountability.
In the last days, they didn't just come up with this because they just thought of it. Jesus was telling them and teaching them and preaching to them that these things are going to happen in the last days as a prophetic word. And if your pastor ain't talking like this, what are you doing?
Then what about the queer people that was there before Christ and during Christ? This is not a new phenomenon, y'all. This is not. Again, these niggas grew up and was little ass kids, 8, 9, 10 years old in the 60s and 70s, and saw all type of queer people rising up in the news, in the media, who literally are asking the same fucking questions. Why are you gay? Why are you gay? Why do you like man? Do you not know that God has called you to be with a woman? Do you not know that? You are burning in your lust and your desire for men. You are not walking in the truth of God. You are not doing it at all.
Where are y'all at in church? What are y'all talking about? Kids going to school, people in the church getting divorced just about the same as more than anybody else. Because preachers and pastors are not speaking about the root cause of these divorces. They don't have classes. They're not talking on the pulpit about the importance of marriage, about the importance of service, about the importance of giving and taking in a marriage and a relationship.
But it's also about, like you said, giving and taking equally. Being able to allow both parties to self-actualize. Organized religion says have these strict-ass rules, that's rigid-ass rules that's placed on people, and some people are not going to fit into your Tetris block-ass viewpoints and perspectives. You're right. If these pastors and these preachers were teaching you how to forgive, how to let it go, I know it hurts, but let it go. I know you want vengeance, but let it go. Them not realizing that when you let it go, you allow the universe to actually work where things come full circle. But it's not. And all of these churches that have these Republican views, oh, let's not act like they're not getting coined up. You talking about pastors who are pandering to these people so they can get money. Baby, the conservative church have nothing but money. Look how big their cathedrals are. Look how much hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars that they have poured into anti-queer campaigns. So let's not act like the conservative party is over here broke. They got money to do shit. But they also gaslight people in the church with these buzzwords to get upset and to be enraged. And why you enraged? Buy my merch. So you can show how enraged you are. And then the money you're getting, what are you doing with the money? Are you turning around and giving it to a nonprofit organization? Also, I noticed that a lot of these black pastors are becoming the spokesperson to the black Christian conservatism and getting involved in politics and collaborating with Trump to recruit black people to vote for Trump. A lot of these conservatives equate body positivity or even practicing safe sex as pornography. Of course, because they don't want you to have agency over yourself. I already told y'all, or shared my opinion, my perspective, viewpoint, that we live in a capitalistic system that is all about the money. And the most profitable thing for capitalistic people that they're discovering is war. Individuals like Officer Tatum are inciting war against the queer community, in particular to trans people. There's this anime on Netflix, and it's kind of trippy and it's kind of out there. I don't know if the person who made this anime was on LSD, but the storyline and just the way that the acting is, or the voice acting and the emotions and everything carried out in it, is like very creepy, because it's like a very scary supernatural manifestation of what happens when you have fear overpower and overtake everything. It's an anime called Devil Man Crybaby. I want y'all to watch that. Again, it's out there. But to the point to where the whole saying that people fear what they do not understand and they hate what they fear, they will kill what they fear. They will try to erase it because they don't understand it. And queer people understand the religious perspective because we have queer people who have shared their testimonies, including myself. But we're seen as mentally ill. We're seen as delusional. We're seen as having lunacy. We're seen for all these things. So, of course, because you already demonize us, just like how slavery was, you're not a human being. You're a fucking piece of property. Property don't have no rights. I own you.
Many churches have failed on this. That's why divorces in the church are just almost as prevalent as in the world.
Yeah.
They talk about a legislation for abortion. Yeah, I mean, abortion can be legal in your state, but nobody at the church better be having abortions.
Then maybe the people at the church need to stop fucking each other, or if so, start wearing condoms. How about that? But again, because money and sex is such a taboo thing in the church, everybody wants some though. Let's be real. Let's be real. We're human beings. We all wouldn't mind more zeros, and we definitely wouldn't mind busting more nuts. Can I get an amen out there? I don't give a damn how religious you are. In closed doors, because you're a human being, we know. It's called the spirit of discernment. The last church I went to, baby, the organ, the music player was fucking the people in the praise team, girl. The nigga who was the drummer, girl, was fucking people in the praise team, bitch. And it was people in the praise team that was trying to fuck me. And I ain't fuck nobody from my church. A lot of fucking going on. A lot of it. My pastor's son had a child out of wedlock. I don't hear shit. And then there are human beings, people who are part of the world going to church. That's all it is. They go to church for a little bit and they got to go back home into their own world. And what happens if somebody at the church slips the fuck up? Instead of you loving them, instead of you affirming them, instead of saying we're going to figure this out together, you automatically go to demonize. Nobody at the church better have it. And there are some people who are so afraid of being ostracized by people in the church that they will go get an abortion in secret. And then go to church having to deal with that. So on either side, it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. If y'all hoes want to be damned, go be damned, girl. I'm not going to participate in being damned with y'all. Because unlike some of these people who are not aware, I'm aware. I know I have options. I know that God, source, universe, consciousness has been, and will always forever be providing for me. I'm learning that in my own life. And I know that one of my omega level blessings is finna come through. And when it really come through, I'm telling y'all, there will come a day where there's gonna be people like Officer Tatum who will be making videos about me. I'm gonna have black people upset. I'm gonna have the religious sector upset. I'm gonna have white sector upset. I'm gonna have certain aspects of humanity triggered. Because again, if y'all want to play this game, let's play the game. I don't want to play the game, but it seems y'all want to go down this route. And for some of us who went to hell and survived, baby, we gonna be all right. It's gonna be y'all. That's gonna be tripping and Harlem shaking. What's up, Black Men Unfiltered? The church has gotten soft. The church has started to actually walk in the element of Christ. Christ wasn't walking around with this whole overtly, what y'all consider masculine energy, walking around with machine guns like Rambo, shooting up people. He was very compassionate. That's a feminine energy or feminine thing, according to y'all mindset, right? Because that's feminine. He was empathetic. That could be considered feminine, according to y'all perspective. And that's the thing, like I said, people be trying to get to God, but they don't go through Christ. And a lot of y'all are failing in the application of Christ. Y'all, but here's the thing, it's only because a lot of y'all are afraid. That's it. Which is why people come into my chat, leave a comment, and then leave. But I'll be all up through their damn lie the whole time. So who really is scared here? The mentally ill one? Oh my God.
Well, they don't talk about it at the church. So down the kids, and they don't know what God thinks about it. They're hearing it from other people that quite honestly, they cannot trust. We can go down the list. All of these things have been prevalent in the kingdom of God. And it's up to your pastor to speak like Gino Jennings. I'm just throwing it out there. Y'all like and subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and all the stuff that you got to do. I'll see you on the next.
All right, thank you. We appreciate that. And again, I want these people to continue to speak. Like, keep speaking your mind. I want that. I literally want that. Because I want to know where you stand. So that we can go about this accordingly. And also, too, when objective truth comes through. You know that truth that says every knee shall bow and every tongue shall confess? It's going to... See, when you work out your own soul salvation, you start to understand that truth. So your knee is already bowed and your tongue is already confessed to that. But I ain't talking about in the realm of organized religion. I'm talking about in the realm of connection to God, source, universe, consciousness, and your own personal relationship with God. Make sure your feet don't hit the damn fire. And with that being said, let's move on to the second part of this live, where I'm going to read an article from GayTimes. Again, the link for that is also in the description box below, because there are queer people who also end up telling their side of the story, the individuals living it. So would Christ be okay with pedo love? If we're talking in the context, well, I'm gonna ask you a question. Okay, and then I'm going to elaborate. I know when I give you my answer, you're gonna be like, "Yep, I told you." Listen to what the fuck I say. Do I think Christ would be okay with that adult loving that younger person? I'm going to say yes. Now, of course, let me elaborate. Because I am queer and you automatically associate critics with pedophilia, you're going to trip off at that and say, oh my God, I told you, I got him. That's the trump card. If you look in the Bible, Christ was alive during those times where there were older people who were also married and had wives who also had younger lovers as well. And Christ didn't say anything about that. Now, if we're talking about the fact of pedophilia as far as having control over somebody and exerting your power over them and graping them and taking their innocence from them, yes, that's horrible and that's wrong. Call that out. But in even other cultures outside of the West, they have those type of marriages, and that's how their perspective is. So to answer your question, because Christ is inclusive and loves, I would say yes, because he would try to educate himself on that, as opposed to doing what y'all do, which is to literally subscribe to the fear-based aspect of it. Now, as far as BubzDaGawd is concerned, I am attracted to people who are my age. I'm attracted to adults. I am not attracted to children. I want to be with a man who is the same age as me or around the same age as me, who is an adult, in a consensual relationship. But I'm talking about love here that transcends and goes down the route of fear that some of you niggas are afraid to do. And it shows. And it's so funny how Gino is the truth, but yet Officer Tatum, who is also a man who subscribes to organized religion, says that he don't agree with everything that this man says. So how is he the truth? Is he the truth in context to what the live is about? And if so, that's your opinion. Meanwhile, he only just speaking that his opinion. So he's so empathetic to just anything. He's not empathetic to anything. He's empathetic to oppressed groups of people who are being hurt by the system. He was challenging the niggas, the Pharisees and Sadducees, some of the energy that some of y'all are really operating in. The Bible said and thus, and God said and thus, and thou, and this, and this, and thus, and thus. But did Christ walk around with a book? No, he was the living word. He was connected. And he connected with the other people that society did not connect with. That's why I'm saying, like, if people actually focus more on Christ as opposed to God, then maybe you'd get somewhere. Because even in that book, it says that before you can go to the Father, you have to go through me. And some of y'all are afraid of Christ. That's the reason why a lot of y'all say that Christ is the only one, when in the scriptures, he literally stated, if you believe the narrative, that ye are gods and that ye will go forth and do far greater works than me. That when he was healing people, he said you wasn't healed by me, you was healed by your own merit. I just stood in connection with you to believe, because where two or three, how does the scripture go? Where two or three are gathered together, there I am. And you can say, oh, Bubs, you're picking and cherry picking the Bible. That's what you're supposed to do. The Bible is a personal mirror. Not everything in the book is going to work for everybody. Just like how there are some people that can go to McDonald's every day, 3 times a day, and not gain weight. And there are some who are eating salads and still gain weight. Yeah. Jesus flipped tables for less. Yeah, he flipped table for the people that was playing in his face. He flipped tables on the capitalistic people who came into the square and made it all about their fucking money while disregarding humanity. See, I don't know. That's okay. Again, fear-based people against those who are aware. That's why they demonize woke people. Because some of y'all are so afraid of what you're seeing, you'd rather stay asleep. You stay asleep. So a man who's attracted to a child is okay. In certain cultures, it is. In certain cultures, it is. Me personally, I'm not attracted to children. But in certain cultures around the world, they think differently than us. They have different customs than us. Not everything is Christian. Not everything is religion. Not everything is the way that you think it is. I understand that you believe things in your own bubble, but you're not the only person that lives on planet Earth, okay? Anyway, let's get into this article. Oh, they do it in the Muslim faith. Interesting. And on top of that, I don't want to hear nothing about children being attracted to nobody. When y'all niggas, when R. Kelly first came out with that motherfucking sex tape, and y'all niggas was buying the shit at gas stations and watching it and shit. I don't want to hear shit. And if we look at some of y'all niggas' porn browser history, I'm sure we'll gag too. Anyway, this is from GayTimes. Again, the link is in the description box below. And it reads, majority of U.S. voters oppose anti-trans candidates, according to new poll. And I'm hoping that this is genuinely true and that this continues, okay? More than half of registered and likely U.S. voters would not support a candidate that promotes an anti-trans narrative, a new study from GLAAD has revealed, because there's going to be some things that heterosexual people are not, okay, going to do their research on. So of course queer people are going to pick up the fucking slack, okay? It just gags me that the 99% is struggling to understand the 1%, but the 1% knows more about y'all. Make that make sense. The nonprofit LGBTQIA+ advocacy group conducted the nationwide survey in late January of 2024. The aim of the study was to gauge popular opinions ahead of the U.S. presidential election in November of 2024. A majority, 53% of all voters, say they would oppose candidates who frequently speak about restricting access to health care and youth sports participation for trans youth. Overall, 94% of LGBTQIA+ voters, 76% of registered voters, 76% of likely voters, and 82% of swing voters agree that Republicans, and this is quote, should stop focusing on restricting women's rights and banning medical care for transgendered youth, and instead focus on addressing inflation, job creation, and healthcare costs. I'm going to read that again, because this is a poll that individuals who have the resources and the wherewithal okay, to go out and do. Not just talk about from a fear-based perspective and from a limited perspective from a damn book, that if we're going to play the game about the book, your ass is in there multiple times. Again, Republicans should stop focusing on restricting women's rights and banning medical care for transgendered youth, and instead focus on addressing inflation, job creation, and healthcare costs, end quote. Basically, these people are saying, I don't really give a fuck about this trans shit. I'm low-key cool with trans people. There are some people out there who are facing the fear and educating themselves because my people perish by the lack of knowledge, and we see some of you niggas is perishing, who ain't got no problem, and saying, instead of that shit, can you fix inflation? Why is it when I go out to the grocery store and I spend $100, girl, it's only 4 items? How is gas damn near $5? Why do people gotta work 2 or 3 jobs just to keep their head above water and take care of the household and still gotta have a personal life and do all this shit? There are more important things to focus on than whether trans people, the whole thing about transes and peer. Who fucking cares? At the end of the fucking day, trans people are here, whether you wanted to or not. You can talk to God all you want. God has allowed it to happen. So instead of struggling with accepting what God allows, why don't you worry about your own motherfucking life? And I'm giving y'all the smoke today. Approximately 49% of LGBTQIA voters reported experiencing real-world harassment or bullying that they felt was caused by the current state of political discourse in the U.S. And we're going to watch another video in Black Men Unfiltered. I hope you're in here for that one as well, because we're going to hear from a trans person. So go ahead and ask your questions there too. Don't just pop in the live. Do like how I do. Do like how the mentally ill ones do. Sit in the live. Learn something. This is a time for you to be educated. This is a time for you to have your blind spots checked. You want to check our blind spots? Okay, let's check yours. Check in. Check in. In a statement, Sarah Kate Ellis, GLAAD president and CEO, said, quote, GLAAD's research shows that LGBTQ Americans are ready to exert their significant power to shape electoral politics, choosing responsible leadership, and use their voices to advocate for equality. Our new survey also shows that the majority of all voters reject harmful anti-LGBTQ rhetoric and candidates who spread it. Voters are insisting that politicians focus instead on the real issues facing our nation, including inflation, abortion rights, and climate change. Candidates, parties, strategists, and reporters are on notice about the power of the LGBTQ vote and the issues that should be demanding attention, including our fundamental freedoms and everyone's safety and well-being, end quote. Girl, I already know. They're probably gonna create a lie. BubzDaGawd said that Jesus will be okay with pedophiles. Girl, from your limited perspective, and then they're gonna take this sound bite and then talk about it and not play the whole entire thing that gives the context and nuance. Again, the fear. And when it comes to this debate stuff or whatever, I does this. I'm a strategist. I work on my own time. I don't work on y'all's time. Okay? What's up, Extra Smoke? Okay? When Arabs enslaved Africans, some of them used young black children as their concubines. See, there's so much history we don't know about. And I'm talking about me. I'm not attracted to children. You can't find nowhere that I was with somebody that was a child. And if you can, since that's what queer people do, I want you to prove it. I want you to prove it. That BubzDaGawd did that. Prove it objectively. It should be easy for you. You know, I'm mentally ill, right? I'm a sexual deviant, right? It should be there. Just find it, right? Right? But anyway, here is the video. And this is from Psyched Perspective. Shout out to, again, Deshaun for sending me this video, and make sure you subscribe to them as well. We've heard a lot about trans women from the trans experience, right? Now we're going to hear from trans men, all right, and their experiences about what's happening in the world. And from his experience, trans people are being dehumanized. Let me go ahead and change my music up, and let's get into it. Oh, let me get this off the screen 1 second. Let's get it.
What's going on, y'all? This video, GeoFlux here. This video is being brought to you by X, aka Twitter. And there's just this ongoing conversation around how time and time again, trans people are dehumanized. Okay, like we're not viewed as human beings that deserve respect, dignity, rights, freedoms, love, friendships, relationships, housing, food, jobs, you name it. There's so many people who don't want us to have any of those.
And I gotta pause, I'm sorry. We're gonna definitely get back into his perspective. But to your point, Ron, I remember back in the day, especially in the South, how many people that were young, that were females, got married to older men. And then people try to justify, oh, well, I mean, if he was a rich doctor or a lawyer or something, he has money, so why not? And have we not forgotten about the black classic, The Color Purple? You better not never tell nobody but God. Do y'all niggas remember that? Again, y'all trying to make this false equivalency that, quote unquote, pedophilia, according to y'all, or attraction to younger people, is just something that's mutually exclusive to queer people. Because again, if you want to play that game, we can play that too. Baby, again, Deshaun has sent me so many motherfucking articles. It will be a 5-hour live. And the way that my ass set up and how petty I'm really feeling right now, I will find the energy to do that. Because I already know if y'all play this game with me to try to discredit me because I'm showing the holes and a lot of y'all weak ass fear-based logics, it's gonna be real big beef. And baby, I learned from the best. So I ain't afraid. I'm really trying to have conversations. You coming in here trying to trigger and gaslight people and not have conversations. Y'all use these same weak ass arguments and logics all the time. Well, would Jesus be okay with it? Would Jesus be okay with that? Find out if Jesus is okay with your ass. Y'all talking about me being an abomination. Some of y'all niggas are the manifestation of the 7 deadly sins. Cause I can look down and see my damn dick. And it's smiling back at me. Cause my shit kind of curved to the left. I got that Captain Hook a little bit. Hitting all type of spots. Y'all be focusing on queers. Y'all need to be focusing on y'all caloric deficits. That's what y'all need to be worried about.
Aspects of life. But in this particular one, this is talking about the sexualization of trans men in particular, because you will see things on Twitter or on Grindr, on Jacked, on these dating apps or these hookup apps, or just having casual conversations with people in the gay community, with cis men in the gay community, and you will quickly see how a lot of times we as trans men are not viewed as men. I mean, literally, somebody was just on X, Twitter, talking about how they're looking for women, and then they made hashtags for the type of women that they're looking for, and they included trans men in the hashtag.
And here's the thing, too. I think even in the queer community, because we're trying to figure out what it means to be queer for ourselves, because again, motherfuckers who didn't know what they was talking about when it comes to queerness was speaking and controlling the narrative on queerness, that shit has bled into the queer community to where even people perform heteronormatives. Like for me, I am what is known as a top. Okay, a top is somebody who, I'm gonna use y'all logic because of the whole heteronormative thing. The boy and the girl. I am the boy in the relationship. And I'm just saying that to meet y'all at y'all low vibrational basic understanding. Okay? I've tried bottoming before, but it's not for me, so I know what I want. But because of my height, people don't see me as a top. Because I am compassionate and empathetic, and I am in touch with my emotional side, and I blend the both of those to make me an actual, aligned, complete, and whole human being, that I don't even have that privilege, because if I'm going to be a top, I have to, once again, subscribe to the toxic masculine part of it, the aggressive part of it, the her and ah, and all this other type of shit, when I am so much more than that. So here it is, you have this individual who is saying that they show up as a man. They understand they was born biologically female. But because they are a trans man, they're not a real man, that they're a fake or a faux man. So they use these hashtags. It's just a lot of shit going on. That's why my lives, I don't try to come up here to perpetuate the fear and the ignorance like so many others, which is why they keep saying the same shit. And on my ass, show all different type of examples and bring it back to the origin and the genesis, which is why I do it so well, and which is why, even though I'm mentally ill, according to y'all, y'all still watch. And I got y'all speaking my damn language. And also, that gives me as an opportunity in real time, as a same gender loving man that has more privilege in the community because of heteronormativity, and because I can blend and my aesthetic fits in with it, I can openly and publicly advocate for other people that I know factually, through their stories, through their testimonies, through their receipts, the injustices that they're dealing with. And because I'm empathetic, I could put myself in their shoes, because it can be me. I don't forget where I came from. I'm grateful that I'm not there anymore, but I don't forget where I came from, which is why I'm so down to earth.
Trans men are not women.
Smoke. The sticker, not the sticky.
Trans
okay?
men are men.
So you doing the bending.
And it's really, again, a lot of times we are literally being viewed as vaginas with beards. And keep in mind, every
just like how some of y'all niggas, mamas, your mama, yeah, some of y'all mamas are females with beards. If we gonna play that game, some of y'all mamas be looking real strong in the face. Some of y'all grandmas who breath smell like mothballs be really strong in the face too. That's why, again, like Christ stated, which should be the most important thing in the Bible above everything else, to do unto others as you would want them to do unto you. It makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Trans man doesn't have a vagina. Okay? Every intersex man doesn't have a vagina. Are there trans men with vaginas? Yes. Are there intersex men with vaginas? Yes. But that is not every single trans man or every single intersex man.
Right.
Okay? And again, another thing is just the constant sexualization. Again, we're not really being viewed as men. And then we're also not being viewed as potential dating partners, relationship oriented. Like, people don't even view having a committed relationship with trans people. And I'm speaking particularly to trans men, but with trans people, because oftentimes we're just seen as the sex toy. We're not really being respected as human beings. Okay.
And that is true, because even on the spectrum of queerness, how many heterosexual men who have wives and girlfriends and all that shit, still late in the midnight hour, they are fucking on queer people. Go unto these gay porn sites for exploration. Wink, wink. And look at the video. There's so many videos of men with masks on. T.S. Madison, who was once an adult entertainer, literally had lives and showed video clips where there were heterosexual men who had, of course, she was very smart, she's a businesswoman, to sign the name on you know, as far as image release contract or whatever sort of contract it is to release your image and stuff like that, and that you consented or whatever, who have fucked T.S. Madison down. Only for years later to have them hit her up talking about, please take the video down. My baby mama saw it, my pastor saw it, my grandma saw it. And like Hope Giselle said, which was true, if some of these trans women did have wombs and was able to get pregnant, some of you niggas would have fallen off the earth. Baby, y'all. See, this is what happens. That's what I'm saying. Like, y'all don't understand when y'all be trying to critique people without understanding what sort of accountability looks like. What happens is that you start to open up a can of worms on your own life. That's what they don't tell you. That's what they don't remind you. Because everything outside of you is a mirror of yourself. So when they start speaking about this stuff, especially in this age of Aquarius, it's like going down the rabbit hole. You talking about telling people to be free. How free are you? How free are you? Because you can't be telling motherfuckers and showing motherfuckers how to be free if you don't understand what freedom is in your own individual life. And that's the problem, especially in the black church. We sit up here and act like we got our shit together. We sit up here and act like wearing your Sunday's best. But because you human, eventually your shit gonna slip. And if you're gonna critique people when your time comes, the question is, are you gonna be able to survive it? Are you gonna be able to stand the rain? Exactly, extra smoke. And that's my thing. If you're gonna come in here with the stuff, at least come in here with something constructive that actually helps the queer community. That actually honors and addresses the plight of queer people.
Okay. And keep in mind, this happens to cisgendered people as well. Cis men can be sexualized. Cis women can be sexualized. However, let's just keep it real. A lot of times, it's just constant sexualization and fetishizing. And again, this is why I cannot stress enough when it comes to, you know, if you're a trans person and you're out here trying to date, trying to get to know people, it is so important that you take the time to get to know these people that you're trying to date, because you, number one, you need to know if this person respects you. Okay? Because if you don't have respect, in my opinion, you don't have anything. And somebody that's just trying to sleep with you, you know, because they have a fetish, 9 times out of 10 is not going to be somebody that respects you. Okay? I cannot stress that enough. Number 2, you need to know what their opinion and perspective is on various topics. What is their opinion on transgender people, on gender affirming care, on abortion, on bodily autonomy, on reproductive rights, on women, on feminism, on misogyny, on patriarchy, on racism? You need to really take the time to get to know people. Again, this just going with folks because they're attractive is not going to work in your best interest, in my humble opinion.
That part.
Because again, there's a lot of attractive people who are transphobic. There's a lot of people who are very attractive who have not healed from things, because like in previous lives that I've done on my platform as well, as far as how people who are conventionally or generally attractive, unfortunately, have to deal with so much, because it's like you got to sit up here and figure out, does this person want to be with me for who I am? Like, besides the physicality that will fade one day, or what if something happens that, like,
completely alters the way I look very fast. Are you going to still be there for me because you love me, the spirit, the soul, the heart, the mind, the emotions, the human part of me? Or are you with me because I look good and I make your dick hard? And once you done bust yours and got post-nut clarity, now it's, oh no. And that because queer people have dealt with being ostracized by the church, by family members, by friends, and by society, that when it comes down to love and romance, we don't even understand what a healthy version of that looks like because we've been taught to hate ourselves, to where you hurt people will attract other hurt people. And there are some people who will be okay with receiving the crumbs as long as they get something, that will put themselves in dangerous situations because they want that attention, they want that connection, even if it is false, even if it is lustful and temporary and lasting only for a little bit in the moment when they deserve so much more. And yes, Extra Smoke, yes, people fetishize, yes, there's a lot of going on, a lot of shit going on, fetishizing. That's why I'm saying, like, these people who are speaking out against queerness from a fear-based way, not a aware way or an objective way, but a fear-based way, they low-key expose themselves. How many, I'm gonna be all the way real, how many fucking anti-queer people that have been very open about it turned out to be doing queer shit themselves? Baby, woo 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 woo.
Of attractive people who are misogynistic. There's a lot of attractive people who are racist. So you really want to actually get to know, again, how are you talking, or how are you trying to befriend or be in a relationship with someone who's trans, meanwhile you're supporting elected officials and legislation that's taking away the rights of trans people? They literally just passed another legislation law on a state level in, I believe, in Missouri, where if a teacher is supporting a trans student, whether that's by advocating for them to be respected and have their pronouns respected, making sure that they have rights, and you know, you're actually advocating and being a supporting adult as a teacher in Missouri, if you do that with a person or a student who identifies as trans, you can now potentially be listed on the sex offender list.
I got to hear that one more time. You said what?
Is supporting a trans student, whether that's by advocating for, passed another legislation law on a state level in, I believe, in Missouri, where if a teacher is supporting a trans student, whether that's by advocating for them to be respected and have their pronouns respected, making sure that they have rights, and you know, you're actually advocating and being a supporting adult as a teacher in Missouri, if you do that with a person or a student who identifies as trans, you can now potentially be listed on the sex offender list.
So let me help y'all understand that on a different perspective. Just like in slavery, if a white person was caught helping black people to self-actualize by helping them and putting their lives on the line unbeknownst to them to help black slaves transmute their environment and for them to walk in their divine power that white supremacy tried to take away and blind them of. If your white ass got caught helping them niggas, you must be a nigger lover. And if you're a nigger lover, you gotta die with the rest of the niggers. So, it's literally the same form of discrimination that if a teacher who sees a trans student or a queer student being bullied, ostracized, made fun of, that if they are to intervene, to advocate for that child, okay, your parents don't call you that because of that. Okay, I'm not your parents. I respect you as a human being. So if you want to be called this name, I'm going to call you that. And if you're going to be in my class, you can do what you want outside the class. But in my class and around me, you're going to call this person this. Because I respect them. And I see what's happening to them. So if those individuals get caught doing that, they're now going to be put on the sex offenders registry list. Not because they got caught doing sexual acts with the child. And forcing the child against their will into a sexual situation. That not be the criminalizing part. The fact that you are affirming queer children, and yet queer people are making all of this up. Wow.
And mind you, there's all kinds of legislative policies, state to state, that are being passed to criminalize being trans, to criminalize being LGBTQ+. They're basically saying the quiet part out loud. They want LGBTQ+ people to, number one, not exist, number two, definitely not have any rights or have any bodily autonomy, and number three, they're criminalizing us. They want us to be listed as perverts and sexual predators and sex offenders. Meanwhile, your average sex offender is still a cisgendered man. Okay? Your typical sex offender is a cis het.
That's what I'm saying. We could play that game. Again, if we're going to play the game, let's play. Time to play the game. It's all about the game. Don't want to play it. Degeneration X in this bitch, nigga, suck it. Let's see who's making the children really suck it. Is y'all ready? A lot of y'all about to find out motherfuckers in your own family that's doing it. Is you ready? In your church that's doing it. Is you ready? In your friendship group, bitch, is you ready? Because like I said before, and I'll say it again, it's equality across the board. If you find that to be a truth, pull it out. Even on my platform. And I need to do a follow-up. I thought Jesus would be okay with it. Be okay with what in particular? Because you keep popping in and out the live. So I need you to give me context. Just so I can make sure I understand. Help me understand, black man. The real God. The enlightened one. And while you here, I still want you to also listen to this trans person's experience. Jesus wouldn't be okay with people lying on people. That's what he wouldn't be okay with. Jesus wouldn't be okay with people discriminating against people. He wouldn't be okay with that. Jesus wouldn't be okay with people who hoard wealth and create poverty for other people. He wasn't okay with people trying to have power and control and dominion over other people's lives. And let's not forget, in the Bible, people called Jesus a demon. He was breaking all type of rules. So y'all over here championing for somebody that y'all not even really in connection with. Because if so, y'all will be walking in his footsteps, which is why y'all have to ask these ignorant ass questions. Again, everybody wants to get to God, but don't want to go through Jesus. And there are queer people who have no choice but to go through Jesus or go through love. Which is why They don't need, and we don't need your affirmation or anybody's affirmation to exist. Y'all the pressed ones. We're just responding to y'all being pressed about our existence that ignorantly y'all still speak on. And if we're going to have an ignorant conversation, baby, let's have the ignorant conversation, but y'all not ready for that.
Cisgendered, heterosexual, white male. Let's just keep it a buck.
Because unlike y'all on y'all platform, because when I ask questions, I don't really get no answers. It just gets skipped over. Don't nobody in the comments do anything. Y'all ignore it. But I'll answer your questions. See how there's a difference here? And no shade. When it comes down to queerness, y'all, I sit you niggas when it comes down to queerness. Y'all don't know queerness like me. Y'all are not, I don't care how much shit you read. I have the experience, which will always overshadow you and what you think about queerness. And y'all stay struggling, okay, to bring facts and receipts, consecutive receipts, credible proof that it's beyond a reasonable doubt if it was put in court. Y'all still failing to show that. So I thought Jesus was okay with what?
Every time you turn around, it's some youth pastor, it's some football coach, it's some Boy Scout leader who's sexually assaulting and abusing children. There was literally a situation where a 50-year-old something white cishet male laced the drinks at his daughter's sleepover to potentially sexually assault and abuse little girls at his daughter's sleepover. Wow. But again, where's the legislation to ban cis men? Where's the legislation to regulate cis men?
And let's speak on that. Shout out to Deshaun again. I'm going to put this article or this post in the description box after the fact. Excuse me. It says, pedophile got child pregnant and posted videos of her being raped on Pornhub. Suspected pedophile Christopher Johnson, heterosexual man of course, reportedly raped and impregnated a 15-year-old girl, then posted videos of the youngster being sexually abused on sites like Pornhub. Okay? And they're even talking about Pornhub, saying in the caption, "This is not the first time this site has been accused of child exploitation, trafficking, and rape. Many have seen underage girls and children on this site, but are unaware that it's a minor they're watching, and sickly, some are aware." So again, let's play that game. Because just like how BMU tried to come in and be like, "I told y'all, them homosexuals are pedophile. I told y'all. Let me see. I'm gonna trip them up with this question. See how I got them thinking for a minute? Yeah, because I think and then I think twice, which is why I give informed and nuanced and contextual, okay, educated responses. Sometimes it's good for some of you niggas to think before you speak. But we can go down that road, and I can play the game with you, and we can talk about it for real. So I'm gonna let this individual continue. You said what now? Who are the individuals that are doing all of the majority of the graping and the majority of the pedophilia behavior?
Where's the regulation to ban cishet white men? Where is that at? Right?
Well, Bubs, he said what? He said, well, I know what y'all really gonna say. It ain't gonna be he, but they said a white man. What about the black man? What about the black man? Oh, y'all doing it too? Y'all doing it too? Baby, you look at the videos of all the individuals who done talked about their family members and all the shit they've been through and how it needs to be a hush on the low, just like the older generation used to do. Hush, hush, hush. No shade. This new generation wants to be free and not survive all the goddamn time.
And then again, while all of this is happening, all of this is going on, we're focused on who can go to the bathroom, who can get an abortion, if you can get IVF, if you can get contraceptives, if you can get gender-affirming care. That's what they want us to focus on. Meanwhile, we have an ongoing genocide. People are living check to check and don't know how they're going to make ends meet. People are going into homelessness.
The viewpoints that the Republicans were speaking about, they don't give a fuck. There's a lot going on. They're not worried about somebody who wants to transition. If they want to transition and find happiness, that's cool. But bitch, I'm trying to find happiness in my own life. Can we get rid of inflation? Can we do something about it? All of these things, meanwhile, we want to sit up here and talk about, oh, well, did Jesus? How about you get a personal relationship with him and ask him? How about you do that? Because you ain't going to believe my answer anyway. So why don't you go talk to your Lord and Savior about it and see what he tells your ass?
People are homeless. People don't have health care. People don't know how they're going to be able to feed their families from day to day. People can't afford rent, can't afford mortgage. People are just rolling around in debt. We have massive layoffs, but the main concern is about somebody's gender or their sexuality and what they can and cannot do with their body pertaining to women and LGBTQ plus people. And trans people. That's what the focus is on. Again, priorities all over the place. But back to the topic at hand. You need to actually know where these people stand. Because a lot of times, they're only interested in us for sex. Now, is this everybody that comes our way? No. But let's be real. There is a nice population of people who approach intersex, non-binary, trans people, trans women, trans men, trans feminine, trans masculine, what have you, approach people under the transgender umbrella, not because they want to get to know you, not because they think you're a nice person, not because they care about you, but because they want to fuck you. Let's just keep a thing. They want to have sex with you. That is the only thing that they're interested in. And a lot of us get bent out of shape when we find out later on that the entire time we thought we were getting to know somebody, we were nothing but a glorified booty call. And again, back to trans men. They keep misgendering us and putting us in the category with women. And I've also noticed how there's a lot of bisexual guys who purposely will come to trans men because we have, the assumption is that we all have vaginas. And also the other assumption is that we're all bottoms. Again, all trans men are not bottoms. All trans men don't have vaginas. But these are the assumptions that people have about us. Okay? Assumptions. And this is why I always say, like, you know, I also find it odd how you will have a cis gay man who is gay. He identifies as a gay cisgendered man. Yet, when he comes to the trans man, number one, he wants to have sex, but he doesn't want to have anal sex. He wants to have vaginal sex exclusively. And again, this is what I mean by the fetishization. If you're supposedly a gay man who has gay sex, why is it when it comes to the trans man, you never want to have anal sex? You only want to have front hole vaginal sex. What is that really about outside of the fact that you're literally fetishizing that person? Because if you were a cis gay man and he's a cis gay man and he considers himself to be a top, he would be penetrating your anus, right? So why is it when it comes to a trans man, all of a sudden they're not interested in your anus? I'm just keeping it real. You got to start reading in between the lines.
And that's the thing about when I say spectrum. There's a lot here. And I get there are some people who are like overwhelmed about the information. Well, my thing is, if you're overwhelmed about the information, you can simply just let it go and not really care about it. And when I mean care about it, I mean live and let live. Because even with me as a queer man, I'm learning information about the trans experience that I did not know and that I'll never know completely because that's not my walk of life. But because I don't understand it, it is not my walk, and these individuals are objectively not hurting themselves or hurting other people, and their walk of life is enhancing them, I can still stand up for them when they're being unjustly accused. And that's what's happening for a lot of queer people at large. There is this unjust demonization to where even in the personal lives of queer people, they still got to deal with the bullshit. And I know we all got bullshit in our own lives, but I mean, damn, We have the information to really make changes, and we're just fucking emotionally and spiritually and mentally lazy to put in the work and then complain about why we are where we are.
When it comes to these types of people, because they sit up here, they make it seem like they're so progressive and they're aware, and oh, I'm not fetishizing, oh, I'm not sexualizing, oh, I'm not chasing you, oh, I'm not a chaser, but their actions speak otherwise. Because again, you're a gay man, but you only want to have front hole penetrative sex when it comes to a trans man. That is clearly a red flag. I'm just going to keep it real, and it's time for us to start realizing somebody giving you attention, you should not be flattered by. You should not be jumping up and down about, because a lot of times they are viewing you as, I'm just going to keep it real. Trigger warning, trigger warning. I'm going to keep it real. Trigger warning. They are viewing us as pussies with beards. I'm just going to keep it completely, to the point. Because the actions are letting you know. They do not respect us as human beings. They think we're a joke. A lot of times, it's comical. They misgender you. They make fun of you. And it's just ridiculous. And then we're just sitting up here like, oh, okay, well, they didn't mean it. Well, give them time. Well, no. It's time for us to stop allowing ourselves to be gaslit and to constantly put up with bullshit. Yeah. Okay? And also, it's also time for trans men. It's time for us to speak up about our experiences more, because a lot of times nobody's really talking about the problems, the bigotry, the transphobia, the hatred and the abuse that we deal with, and it needs to be talked about more. And it also needs to just be mentioned, you have a lot of predatory cis men, regardless of sexuality. Toxic masculinity, patriarchy, literally sets cis men up to be predators, to be abusers. I'm just going to be honest. And all of this, it's just a heterosexual. No, if it's a cis man, the likelihood for unnecessary abuse, disrespect, and violence and selfishness is ridiculously high. It doesn't matter what his sexuality is. It doesn't matter what his race is. The fact that he's a cis man and living in a patriarchal, misogynistic society, you really can't be too surprised when they come out of left field.
And you know what? I'm going to speak on that. I agree with that. And I've kind of wanted to do a live on that, where I wanted to speak about just how men in general, regardless of sexual orientation, are just sexual as fuck. And I don't know, because cis hetero men have sex with women, that when they see men having sex with men, it's kind of crazy, because it's like, wow, they get to see themselves outside of themselves. To be like, wow, so is that what it would look like if I was the female, if I was a submissive one? You get what I'm saying? So I think we need to talk more about that. That even in the queer community, even when it comes down to the realm of sex, how a lot of the sex is very aggressive sex. A lot of the adult entertainment you see now, especially the independent ones, is just very much just slam bam, and it's just like, damn, do you not care about your whole? Do you not care about your body? And how even in the queer community, there are men who have literally did the same thing that heterosexual men do to women, to other gay men. Like, again, there is a lack of something there. There's a lack of awareness and a lack of self-control, which is why they then enforce and impose their will over other people. So that was a very good point that they made. And I definitely want to delve deeper into that in a very much later date.
Okay, you really can at this day and age, because they show you through their actions that they really ain't thinking that much about you. Okay, and then case in point, look at how, and I'm gonna say it, look at how cis, gay, and bisexual tops treat cis, gay bottoms. The misogyny is all up in there. The toxic masculinity is all up in there. Okay? It's in your face how they act and how they think and how they, operate and where their mindset is coming from. And it's just why I be saying a lot of times with these guys, you really kind of have to start realizing that you're being used. You're being used. They don't take you seriously. They don't respect you. And it's only a matter of time before they say or do something that's extremely toxic and abusive. And then you're going to be sitting up trying to figure out, oh, well, I didn't think he was like that. But he was showing through his actions that that's how he was the entire time. That's why, just being honest, it's getting to the point where we need to stop acting like we're so surprised when cis men go and do cis men shit. Okay? I'm just going to be honest. And again, they treat other cis men horribly. Okay? They treat each other like shit. So it's just like, what in the world, And again, is this all cis men? No. But if we're looking at it from a collective standpoint, that group has major problems that they need to focus on and work on.
Ooh, I said it in the live when I was on BMU Network the second time, because the first time everybody was, oh, Buzz, you got to come back, man. I like your fire, I like your passion. But when it was just me up there and I was handling y'all, then it was a problem and issue. And I said it before. Overall, men in general, especially those who subscribe to patriarchy and toxic masculinity, where there's no such thing as toxic masculinity or femininity. It's just toxic people in the world. Yeah, and if they're toxic within and they're looking on the outside, they're going to have a view on these things. And when they view masculinity because they're toxic, what are they going to view? Toxic masculinity. Toxic femininity. Again, clever, not intelligent, but clever. Again, that those things trickle down into the queer community as well. And again, like T.S. Madison said, transphobia affects all women. And I wonder what would happen if transphobia started affecting men. I can only imagine what would happen if the stuff that trans men are going through, that men will go through. I wonder how they would feel if they were to walk in the shoes of the people that they ignorantly oppress.
Instead of constantly projecting their bullshit off on everybody else and trying to play the victim when people try to hold them accountable. Again, that narcissistic shit. They never want to be held accountable. They never can take what they dish out. Like I said, when you look at how they treat cis bottoms in the gay community, come on. How is this any different than how women are treated? How is this any different than how people with vaginas are treated? Again, the way they treat people, pay attention. The shit that they say and do, pay attention. This is why I be saying a lot of y'all, I'm not interested in being friends with you. You a whole ass bigot and a red flag. And I see right through you. That's why I be saying what I be saying. Like, nah. And I'm not saying I don't have any cis male friends. I do. But to say that I trust them, okay. Okay. Because again, you got to pay attention to people's actions and behaviors. A person can tell you what you want to hear all day.
That part.
But then when you see them in their natural light doing them, that's when you really start, as they say, the mask starts unveiling itself. That mask starts falling down. And then you realize, oh, this really how you are. This really how you think. That's why I said a lot of times you dodge bullets by ignoring certain groups of people. And I'm just going to keep it real. Or at least being aware that, you know what? He might be on some bullshit. So don't be putting all your eggs in one basket.
All right, y'all. That was today's live. Again, this live was inspired by Queen Stevie and King Deshaun. Shout out to y'all. And yeah, the queer people like myself are going to, we've already been speaking up, but now we're going to speak up even more because, again, we understand that this year, queerness is going to be on the ballot. And for a lot of you black individuals, it ain't going to just be queerness. It's going to be blackness too. Again, the retribution that happened in the 80s in response to all of the awareness and wokeness that was going on in the 60s and 70s that actually called people to genuine community and to actually expose the powers that be that are playing whole stroke games on all of us. That same energy as far as the 80s is happening right now. Look at these laws that are being put in place. That article I read from GayTimes, I hope and pray that that's the truth. I hope and pray that people can learn to transcend their fear and be like, hey, as long as you ain't hurting yourself and you ain't trying to hurt me, live and let live. I would want that to be the reality. But there are bills being passed that are counterproductive to inclusion for all of humanity. They just shared in the video again how there's laws being passed that if you help. Hey, simp. Oh, now we got the trolls in here. Shout out to the trolls. What is this even about? Well, you can go ahead and watch it from the beginning because I'm about to end it. And you can figure out what it's all about and you can leave all your thoughts. And not you Attack on Titan. Where my sword at to cut the back of your damn neck. Nigga, and your picture is the smallest one. You ain't even one of the great Titans. Amen. But anyway, thank y'all for joining me for today's live. Okay, shout out to everybody who came through. Shout out to a simp. What's up? Shout out to BMU, who's probably gonna take my sound bite and make a whole live about it and try to demon niggas so desperate to demonize me. Meanwhile, I'll be over here clearing them with their own truths. Okay, shout out to Extra Smoke Dragon in the building. Okay, shout out to you. Shout out to King Ron in the building. All right. Who else we got? I think I already said Queen Spicy. Shout out to Queen Spicy. Shout out to you. Shout out to Queen Stevie. Shout out to the replay gang. Okay, if you can, please make sure that you hit that like button. Okay, because that helps this channel to grow in the algorithms. Okay, so that we can have people like a simp come through, new people, and reach them. Okay, because again, we're expanding the BubzDaGawd consciousness as far as love and inclusion is concerned, and low-key on some Robin Hood challenging the system type shit. Okay, because again, it's about the people. It's the people. All right, if you like the vibe over here on BubzDaGawd, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell so that you can stay up to date with all of my random ass lives. Okay, and if you feel compelled, you can definitely hit my Cash App at the bottom of the screen, $ BubzDaGawd. We take any and everything. Okay, we both handed when it comes to our Cash App. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, y'all, peace.
Love never dies, just choose to be born again.